Welcome back, guys. Today's video, I'm going to break down all my predictions for who's going to win men and women's finals big air, the biggest big air of the year. World champs for freestyle skiing is on. I watched the qualifying. I had to grab a VPN and watch it in Australia, but I nonetheless got to watch it, so I have some clips from that as well that I'll be playing. It was an insane big air. The jump wasn't overly massive, but still more than a big enough jump to do some really big tricks, and they only took 5 people to finals, so some very heavy hitters in the finals for the men, and like 2 or 3 names that you wouldn't necessarily not expect in big air, but we don't see as often in big air. So that being said, here's my predictions for the event. I asked you guys in the Instagram channel if this is something you want to see, and a lot of you guys responded yes, so I'm making the video. I think freestyle skiing and snowboarding as a whole needs people talking about events, what's going on in the sport a lot more. So without further ado, here's the top 10 qualifiers for the men's. Keep in mind they cut out like 60 people. There's people like Vince Vanelli who is ending up in 17th, literally doing a trip 18 and a switch trip 16. We won't dive super deep into all the judging. It is a judge sport. It's really hard to judge events like this, but there was some interesting judging, and also just some people were getting absolutely destroyed for tiny imperfections. It's something that happens in a judge sport, and it's very hard to control. All right, so in heat 1, we have Burke Ruud, who qualified first overall in his heat. Good to see him back on top of the big air game. He's had not a struggle this year, but it's insanely tough out there. We haven't really seen him at the very top of big air, which is something he used to dominate. So he kicked off with an incredibly high score of a 91 for a dub bio 18 mute. He's got that trick unlocked. He's been doing it for years, and it scores super well because, again, he's like the only guy doing a dub bio 18 and grabbing it very well and stomping it to the end. So getting scored really well there. And his second trick he decided to do was a trip 16 safety, switch triple 16 safety, and he's wrapping the full way through the trick 5-7-5. Very similar to what Luca Harrington does with his double safety grab, the Esco grab. This is a new axis for him. We haven't really seen him do it in the past, but it's very cool to see. And he did reward this trick fairly well with 85.5, hooking him up in at first place. Up next, we have Elias Sageris. Elias Sageris is mostly known for his tail butters and his more creative tricks. In the past, we've seen him in big airs doing switch triple 14, screaming Siemens, crazy stuff like that. But now he's kind of transitioned after, I think, a knee injury to more like butters and other tricks like that. So he was one of the first guys to start doing the switch tail butter into the Misty, and he's doing a switch tail butter into a dub Misty 14 safety now. We saw Torm in the other heat get hooked up very well for that trick with a high score. Elias Sageris also got hooked up here. He got 88.5 for that trick, so very good score. And in the past, we've seen him do nose butter variations for tricks as well, but nothing like this. He did a nose butter triple 16 safety, which is a very hard trick to do. I mean, Dolo did it years ago, but something that's kind of got put on the back burner for a while. It is funny though, now that we see, again, in freestyle skiing, a lot of these guys can all do tricks like this. It's just normally they don't score well, and then all of a sudden the judges change their mind and they start scoring well. So now we're seeing like 5, 6, or 7 people doing nose butter triples, whereas in the previous years, they weren't getting scored very high, and this year they are. So now everybody's doing tail butters and nose butters. It's just one of those things. And third, we got Matthias Roach. He absolutely has been killing it this year. He made finals in slopestyle, made finals in the last World Cup big air in teens, and he's actually been on one. Similar to Elias, he also did a nose bar trip 16 safety. Again, once somebody does it really good and starts getting scored high for it, a lot of people are going to do it. Same with the dub 9 pullback. People have been doing the dub 10 pullback to 9 for literally like 5, 6, 7 years, just ever since A-Hall started doing it and they hooked him up for it. Now people are like, okay, well, this actually isn't the hardest trick ever. If I spend like one summer, I'm going to learn it and I'm going to get scored really well. Being a judge sport like this is very confusing. It's kind of like what's hot right now. Like, you kind of have to stay on top of trends for tricks you're doing, which is interesting, but it just is what it is. But Matthias Roach got a huge score for that because he went absolutely to the bottom. His nose butter trip 16 safety literally landed like almost flat, and they did a really nice switch 18 lead stale that was capped perfectly to the end and got a pretty decent score for that as well. Only 83, but still good score and a really nice trick. Alex Hall coming in 4th place. Again, Alex Hall is one of those guys who's, trying to bend it more the creative way. He's somebody in the past who's done like the really big tricks. He's done 21s, he's done really big spins like that. Now he's kind of trying to go back the other way, which is nice to see, like some variation in big air. However, he's doing his slopestyle tricks in the big air. He did, however, add Esco grab, so double safety grab in his dub 9 pullback, which is good to see some, improvements on that trick because it's, again, a trick that, like, I don't really see a dub cork 10 pullback to 9 as a big air trick. I see that more as like a stylish slope trick. It's not necessarily high risk, high reward, but the Esco grab in it, the double safety makes it very unique. And he did get scored decently for it, but not like crazy, like 95 or anything like that. It was like 85, so pretty reasonable score. And then on the back of that, he did a switch tail butter dub 14 Japan. Again, really nice trick. However, with tail butters, especially into corks, tail butters into dub bio is a completely different game. But into corks, it's basically, in my opinion, and what you see at a lot of guys, it's just rushing your takeoff into your switch cork. A lot of us worked really hard to fix that habit, to not not have a bad takeoff, so it doesn't look like we're kind of scrubbing on the takeoff into our switch corks. But basically now if you set your switch cork like 2-3 feet early before the takeoff, you're going to get rewarded for a butter, and it's going to score insanely high for a switch 14. There's people in the past like Henrik Harlow who've done insane switch tail butters where they tail butter halfway up the takeoff and actually press it into skis. Those, in my opinion, should get rewarded as tail butters. I personally think it needs to be a little bit more defined as like an actual press and then pop into the trick. However, he did do absolutely perfect switch 14 Japan, and he did butter the takeoff quite well. Definitely more than some of the other competitors that were also trying this as well. And in 5th place in Heat 1, we have Timo Sivignon, who did a nose butter, triple cork, 14 mute. Again, like I said, once one person starts doing it and it scores well, a lot of people are going to go out there and learn that trick. It was a really, really insane nose butter trick, 14 mute. Stomped and grabbed the whole way through, and then he did his textbook switch double misty, 16 mute as well. Heat number 2, we saw the top 3 guys outscore Bergerud, who was first in another heat. However, again, each heat's going to be scored a little bit differently, and points don't necessarily matter. It's more about how you qualify. Luca Harrington, who's been on an absolute tear this year, qualified first overall. It's kind of not a surprise when it comes to big air. Luca Harrington is insanely good at that switch triple 16 with the double safety grab. So good, in fact, he's doing it in his slope runs, and I'm convinced that he will probably never fall on that trick, and it's going to score really, really well, at least for the next year or two. And as you can see here, I got a score of a 93.5, so very, very high score. His next trick we see right here is his triple 18 safety, which scored very well as well, getting 89.5. Coming in second in Heat 2, we have Mac Forehand, who absolutely crushed it. He did a switch triple 16 mute, which he's also been doing in slope run, which is wild, but his switch triple 16 mute grab is like probably the best ever, and same with his forward triple 18 mute grab. It's absolutely insane. This contest he actually did a triple 16 mute grab, which still scored very, very high, but by all means, he did the most perfect triple 16 mute you'll have ever seen, going massive, holding it right to the end of the nose and stomping it, which got him a score of an 89 and a 91. Coming in third in Heat 2 is Teapot. He's somebody we're used to seeing in the World Cup big air events. Obviously, he crushes it. He's done the triple 21, which is insane. Teapot, he's got the triple 18 mute on lock. It's probably the most on-demand trick of anybody in the field, I'm not going to lie. It's actually crazy how good he has that trick. So he started things off with the triple 18 mute, getting a good score of a 91, and then switch double bio 16 mute as well. And he ended up with an 85.5 for that second trick. 4th place, Heat number 2, we have Andre Rigetli, the man himself. This dude, he has all the big air tricks. Again, it's one of those things where like he was doing triple like 18 mute grabs years ago, and then they stopped scoring it compared to like dub 18s and other stuff. So he stopped doing them and he learned how to do dub 18s. And now that he's doing that, you know, it's kind of swapped over where the dub 18s aren't scoring as good as the trip 18s. And he's kind of stuck in this limbo where it's like, you know, not riding the trends properly, honestly, which sucks to say because, you know, if you went back 2 years, I'd switch double misty 18 with a Buick grab would score higher than any other trick. This is just me personally, but a switch 14, like slightly tail buttered with a grab is significantly easier than doing a switch double bio 18 with a Buick grab. But yeah, that's what he did. He did basically his stock big air tricks that he's learned. He did the dub 18 lead stale, absolutely perfect cap to the end, got a good score of an 88. And his other trick, obviously, the switch double bio 16 Buick grab, which actually scored lower than a switch double misty 18 safety grab. So he had an extra 180, but he made the grab significantly easier, and it scored an extra point higher. We saw this in X Games big air for him as well. Again, this is the thing with Judge Sports, it's hard to know what you are supposed to do. And then Ben Barkley making it into finals in a big air, which is absolutely insane to see, so sick to see. He did probably one of my favorite triple 18 mutes of the day, probably the best triple 18 mute of the year for me. It was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. He got a score of a 90.5, very, very good. And then he did absolutely beautiful switch double 18 mute that was capped the whole way. Just excellent from him. Good to see him in finals. That's the long-winded recap of Qualies. And my predictions for men's finals, obviously starting things off, I think Luca Harrington is going to be pretty much impossible to beat at this venue because it's a little bit smaller of a jump. That guy flips so fast, and the tricks he's doing, he's just too dialed with them. He's not going to mess up a switch triple 16 Esco grab. It's just not going to happen, and that's the highest scoring trick of the day. And then again, his triple 18 safety is pretty on demand. That's going to put him at least on the podium. And those are two tricks I'm like 100% confident saying that he's going to land first try each. And then if he has to up it to get into first place from second or third, he will. The rest of the field is pretty tough. There's definitely some heavy hitters in there. Alex Hollis got the creativity, the pretzels, and the grab variations. I just don't think he has the high enough DD to get up there with Luca Harrington, who's basically doing two triple 18s. Mac Forehand, on the other hand, done. He has the triple 16 mute, which we all know in a finals, Mac Forehand's going to absolutely go for it, and I can see him doing a triple 18 mute along with his switch triple 16 mute, which could very well put him up there side by side with Luca Harrington. I just think for Mac Forehand to do a trip 18 mute on that jump is going to be a little bit harder than Luca doing the trip 18, and I think there's a little bit more room for him to make a slight mistake, slight bobble with the trick that's going to cost him on the scores and put him maybe in second or third. With that being said, we have to fill out our third place result. I honestly think for that third place it's going to be between Berkrud, Teapot and Andre Gately. I know that's kind of like a more cliche answer. Obviously, somebody like Elias Sageris, Mateus Roach, and totally Timothy Sauvignon could like slide in there, especially if they do something insane, but they're going to have to be absolutely dialed on the top of their game. Teapot, Berkrud, and Andre, the tricks they're doing for this final, similar to Luca and Mac, are very much on lock. Berkrud probably actually is the guy with a little bit less consistency on that switch triple 16 wrapping early, but the 18 mute he has, the dub bio 18 mute, is absolutely dialed. He's going to do that all day, and then he has 2 tries of the other trick. Both those tricks are going to score super well. I think with Teapot, the trip 18 is there and the switch Misty 16 is there. He just needs something a little bit higher than that switch Misty 16 DD wise that's going to score higher, and I don't really know what he's going to do other than that. He could do the 18 mute, and we've seen him in the past even try to do a switch double Misty 19, but I don't think those are tricks he has as dialed, and I think it's something that is probably going to end up with a bobble and score a little bit lower. When it comes to Andre versus Burke for that 3rd place spot, I think Andre definitely has the consistency that Burke does. I just don't think, unless he does something a little bit different, maybe like a dub 19 stale absolutely perfect, and then a switch double Misty 18 with a perfect grab, he's going to have a hard time beating Burke. Like, the tricks between Burke and Andre are pretty comparable. It's going to come down to, can Andre up his tricks that he did in Qualies a tiny bit, and can he do them perfectly? If they both do them perfectly and Andre ups it a little bit, it's going to be close, but I think Burke's still going to be ahead. If Burke has any kind of wobble whatsoever, put Andre out there in 3rd for sure. But all in all, it's super tough, so it's going to be a really sick event going down tomorrow. But there it is. We're going to dive into the women's quickly. I'm going to keep it super quick because we all know who's going to win the women's world champ big air, Megan Oldham. Alright, that's my prediction for the women's too. Hope you guys enjoyed. Deuces, and if you want to see more videos like this, prediction videos like this, you can check out the playlist right there with all my event recaps, predictions, and breakdowns. Otherwise, vlogs and other stuff on the channel. Hope you guys enjoyed. Deuces.